Hi everybody, it's Geordie from Geordie's Cards here for Pawsome Stamps today, and I am creating this fun Father's Day card. It's coming up soon, or at least it is for UK people. I'm not sure about the US, but in the UK it's kind of mid-June. So I'm using the new Chameleon Stamp Set and the Falling Leaves background stencil to create my card today. So I have gone ahead and coloured and cut out my gorgeous little chameleon here. I googled images of a chameleon and I found one that was kind of like this bright multicoloured dude, and I thought he looked kind of cool, so I tried to replicate that. And now I have a piece of green cardstock here. It's kind of a pale green, and I am going to do some stenciling over it with this gorgeous Falling Leaves background stencil. I absolutely love this stencil and I haven't used it nearly enough, so I was happy to be pulling it out and using it today. So I have attached my my piece of cardstock down there with some repositionable tape and my stencil with the magnets, and I'm going in with some Concord and Ninth parsley ink and kind of inking all the way through that stencil. I'm not too worried about that centerpiece because I'm going to be doing some cutting out of that bit in the middle. So I'm actually quite happy to get a bit of ink on that centerpiece so I can kind of see where the oval goes. I don't have any oval dies. Well, I do have a set of oval dies, but they've got kind of like a deckled edge, and I kind of wanted a straight edge around it, and I didn't have anything that would work. So I just decided to cut it out by hand, which I will show you here in a second. So once I'm happy that I've gone all the way over with that parsley ink, I'm going in with this evergreen ink, which is a darker green. And I'm just adding that to little parts towards the bottom of each kind of sprig of leaves, if you like, just to create some contrast and make it look a little bit different and a little bit kind of blended. So it's got a nice tone to it. So once that was done, I went ahead, I took a little craft knife here and just kind of slit through the middle to create some, create a place where I could slide my scissors in. And then I went around and, sorry, this is off screen a little bit, but I just used my scissors all the way around the edge of that inking there to create the kind of oval cutout in the center. Obviously, if you have oval dies, perfect. I just didn't have any that would really work. So this was the alternative, and it works pretty good. It looks a little bit messy to begin with, but I did go back and just trim off the edges a little bit more to make it nice and smooth, and it worked a treat. So just finishing off that last little bit there, and then I will go back and kind of tidy it up a little bit more. I'm not going to show all of that on screen because you'll be here all day. But then I decided to add a little bit more inking just to that kind of edge piece. I wanted it to kind of stand out, look a bit more contrasted. So I'm taking those same two parsley and evergreen inks that I used earlier and just kind of inking around the edge of that kind of frame that I've created. So I decided to go in with the evergreen as well, just to darken it up a little bit more and make it really pop, and I just really like the look of that. And it kind of draws your eye to the center of the card, to where my little image is going to be. So I had considered making a shaker card. If you follow me at all, you know how much I love a shaker, but I decided in the end not to bother today. I just went with what I had out already, and I'm creating, as I say, a Father's Day card. So I've gone ahead and used an alphabet die to cut out the words Dad. I've cut it 3 times from the lighter green cardstock that you see here, and once from the darker green cardstock. Initially, I had planned to use the dark green as a shadow and the light green as kind of the main focus, but I did it the opposite way around. I used the dark green as the kind of main focus and the light green as the shadow. I thought it worked a bit better and popped a bit better on my card background here. And I'm going to do the same for all the letters. And then I'm going to use my white Sakura Jelly Roll pen just to add some white highlight details. Again, to help it pop and stand out a little bit more from the background, because obviously the background's pretty green as well. So I wanted to make sure that the letters stood out and you could really see what my sentiment says. So it's going to say, Dad, you're one in a chameleon. And that one in a chameleon part comes from the stamp set. I love that saying. I think it's really, really cute and obviously quite punny and works really well with the little chameleon I've got going on here. So I stamped that part of my sentiment into the bottom right-hand corner. And now I'm going to attach down my letters with some liquid glue. So I'm using my grid mat to help me line everything up and make sure I get everything centered. I'm starting with the A because that's the center letter, and I'm making sure it's nice and centered on my card base. And then I will go out to either side with the 2 Ds to create the word dad. This is just, I find this an easier way of kind of lining everything up rather than starting from the left-hand side and working my way across. Lining up the center letter first always kind of helps. Then I'm going to go ahead and attach my little branch down. I'm not putting it kind of in the middle. I'm putting it lower down because my chameleon, I want him to stand out right in the center of that opening there. And I'm just attaching him down by his tail so that he can sit on the branch. And isn't he cute? And there are a bunch of different chameleons in the stamp set, facing different ways with different patterns on them. So many to choose from. I just went with this one today because I thought he was kind of fun and I could colour him in these nice bright colours. So I've cut a piece of light blue cardstock to pop behind my main panel here, and I'm just using some low-tack tape to hold it in place, and I'm going to stamp out these little flies that come with the stamp set. I thought this was kind of fun, and I just wanted to add a little bit of something extra to the background there because it was looking a little bit plain and I wanted to fill it in a bit. I had, as I say, considered doing a shaker card, but I decided not to. I decided I just wanted to use these little flies instead because I thought they were kind of fun. So I'm scattering them around. There's 2 different flies. One that looks like it's kind of flying to left or right, and then one that looks like it's flying straight towards you. So I did a couple of each in here. And then there's a little trail stamp as well, which I used to create some trails, not for all of the flies, but for a few of them. I decided to stamp out 5 because I like things in odd numbers better than even. So it was either 3 or 5, and I kind of kept going after the third one, so I decided to go with 5. No rhyme or reason to it. I just decided to do it that way. And I'm stamping this last one upside down, so it looks like it's slightly different from the others. But there we go. That's my little flies all stamped and ready to go. I've attached some foam tape to the back of my card panel, and I'm going to go ahead and attach it down on top of my card. Now, it kind of went a bit bendy, but it's straightened out in the end, which is perfect. And that is pretty much the front of my card done. All that's left is to attach it to a card base. So I chose the same colour green cardstock for my card base, and I'm just gluing my card front down onto my card base, and that is it, card complete. And I think it's kind of a fun one for Father's Day. I'm sure my kids will enjoy giving it to their dad on Father's Day, which I think as I say, I think in the UK is the middle of June, but I'm not sure what goes on in the US. You'll have to let me know in the comments below. I would love to hear from you. And as always, if you enjoyed this one, please do give it a thumbs up, and please do subscribe to my channel. I'd love to see you come back again. Thanks for joining me.